Welcome back, wildling scum and folks of the ChaosReviews squad. Now, us and the wildlings will march forth across the wall to do the episode 2 review, season 7 of Game of Thrones. Hey, welcome back, Chaos Squad. Thanks again for tuning in once again for our weekly Game of Thrones review. And this week we'll be reviewing Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 2. And wow, what a friggin' episode. We got a lot to talk about. So, the episode kind of kicks off with Varys being questioned quite hard by Daenerys. We're seeing that very intense Daenerys coming back out. We've seen this before, her kind of being quite questioning about her allies and stuff ever since the Jorah trying to poison her incident, and then the truth coming out and whatever have you. So yeah, she's just really putting the nails to Varys, and he's just like, look, you know, I do what's best for the realm. You don't understand. My allegiance doesn't sit with like anyone in particular. Especially royalty, because I grew up from nothing and was, you know, everything that's happened to him. Then we see Melisandre appear, the Red Priestess, her saying, you know, I've envisioned whatever have you. Then we see, you know, them talk about, you know, like he served Stannis, you know, like, or she serves Stannis. Not to trust her and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, whatever have you. Then we move on to Cersei, who's sitting on the Iron Throne, looking evil as hell. She is desperately trying to find some allies and allegiance and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's meeting with her. The Tarly house is there. It's quite interesting, huh? He's kind of on the fence. Jaime kind of talks to him afterwards, saying, you know, I'm going to need a general through this war, and he's going to be, like, rewarded handsomely and all this kind of stuff. So really trying to twist his arm, trying to butter him up real good, saying, you know, your house has done huge deeds before, and blah, blah, blah. So he's looking like he swindled him back onto the side of the Lannisters. Then we see Sam. He finally figures out who Jorah actually is. You know, he's a Mormont and all that kind of stuff. And once he figures that out, he really wants to cure the grayscale. But all the maesters say it's impossible. And Sam's like, no, it's possible. There's 2 known cases that have been cured or whatever. Have you read these books? And he's like, yeah, but do you know what's happened to him? And then he's like, well, no, not really. Turns out he died from grayscale. So that's quite interesting, right? So Sam goes behind their back anyways and does a little bit of operation, you know, water on the knee, looking for that bone, scraping on in there. Man, that's pretty gross. He had to cut off quite a bit of flesh. He was telling him, don't scream. It was kind of intense, not knowing like if his cover is going to get blown. But yeah, cutting off the grayscale, puncturing in there, and just like, and then it zooms into the next scene where the dude's eating the like really creamy, weird looking stew that looked like the pus. Then we get to see Tyrion, how much of a master tactician he is. He explains how the war is going to go here. All the other houses that are helping, the Tyrells and the Dornish, are like, well, what are you guys going to do? And he's like, we're going to hit him where it hurts. Castle Rock, you know, take the head off the lion. And they're like, oh, okay, we're down with that kind of thing. So they start to see, like, you know, thought maybe we couldn't trust him, and then they kind of explain, like, he's got just as much reason to hate Cersei as any of you, and stuff like that. But then we get to see a little interesting scene with the old lady Tyrell kind of telling Daenerys, you know, you gotta be a hard ass, you gotta be someone that nobody likes, and all this kind of stuff, and almost kind of poisoning her, you know, like, it's kind of interesting if that's gonna make her not trust anybody and just rule with an iron fist. Nobody likes a softie. You gotta be like whatever. And I was like, oof, I don't know. Hopefully, Daenerys always kind of teeter-totters back and forth. Like, she's kind of almost got two personalities. It's kind of interesting. Then Grey Worm, he trying to get it on without the worm. I was just like, wait, how's he gonna what? Ooh, yeah, I guess he can do that. And I was like, kind of an interesting scene there. Seeing a lot of emotions from him, character development of how he never used to have fear and stuff like that, but now that he's got something that he cares for, potentially he's got something to fear, potentially make him softer and weaker. It's quite interesting. Then Arya just chowing down, barely paying attention to the hot pie, but he's shooting the conversation. She's just ripping off pieces of bread, just chugging like ale, like just looking like a monster. He's like, damn, like, I didn't realize you were a girl. You're kind of pretty. She's like, yeah, thanks. And then he's like, well, how come you haven't gone back to Winterfell? She's like, it was burned to the ground. And then she finds out Jon and Sansa are there, and Winterfell's back up, and the Boltons are dead. And then she's like, well, gotta go. Pieces out. In the process of heading back north, it gets real cold. And this is a pretty interesting scene because I thought maybe the White Walkers have gotten into the north somehow, because I'm like, oh, the cold. This is going to be interesting. Can she kill a White Walker? Her needle is technically Valyrian steel, so I guess it could probably kill one. Turns out it was a wolf pack with the leader of the pack being Emiria. I called it right when I seen the first wolf coming up. I knew it wasn't a dire wolf, but I was like, oh, her wolf is definitely with these dudes. That's pretty cool. She says, come back with me, and all this kind of stuff, and the wolf's like, you blew me off, threw rocks at me, screw you. Pieces out. It's like, rough life. But then we get to see Jon defy Sansa, who's telling him you cannot go meet with Daenerys, even though he's like, we need the dragon glass, we need the dragons, we need strong allies, and all this kind of stuff. And Daenerys has already kind of said, bend the knee, and she's being kind of power hungry and crazy. Looks a little sketchy for him to go. He defies Sansa and all of his bannermen and stuff like that who think it's a bad idea. He says he's going to go, not before meeting with his dad's statue, Ned Stark, down and below in the crypts. He's just kind of like reminiscing on things and, kind of looking like him with the cloak and stuff on. It was kind of cool. But then Peter Baelish comes down, and Jon, he's having this little cryptic conversation with him, of whatever it was, saying, I loved your dad or whatever, he was a good man, even though we both disagreed on things, and it was a shame to see him go, even though he was the one who screwed him over. I'm just like, oh, Ned must be turning in his grave right now, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure if Jon knows exactly what happened there, but yeah, Jon kind of sees right through him, which is pretty sweet, and just grabs him by the throat, and he's just like, shoves him right up against the thing, and he's like strangling the life out of Peter Littlefinger Baelish. And he's just like, you don't belong here, and if you so much as lay a finger on the hair of my sister's head, I will kill you myself, kind of thing. And I'm just like, damn, that might not be a smart thing. Anybody who's pissed off Peter, he hasn't liked or screwed him over in any sense, he's a snake. You gotta be careful. That guy could play the Game of Thrones. He is very dangerous, and you're pissing him off and then leaving your sister unattended and the whole North. Not a good idea. Then the whole episode was paced very well. We're seeing stories and character development and storylines being progressed quite well. We're seeing like Arya's on the way back to finally meet up with Winterfell. We're seeing the masterful plan Tyrion put in place, and Daenerys move forth and all this stuff. And I'm just like, damn, this is moving quick. I can see this. It's only 6 or 7 episodes, whatever the season's supposed to be. It makes sense that this pace is, the war is going to end real soon. They're going to go freaking screw shit up in King's Landing with the dragons, with the ships, and like the Dorns and like the Tyrells are going to mess shit up, and the Unsullied. And then the last 15 minutes of the episode hits, and I'm just like, holy sh! Like, my heart was racing, and I was just like, holy shit. The other Ironborn attack, colliding head on with the ships right after a real funny scene with Theon's sister and the Dornish queen, like, they're about to get freaky, and then boom, the big collision happens. And then, you know, like, the Greyjoys, this huge battle commences. The battleship's drawbridge, that like mouth thing or tentacle, whatever it was, crashes down. He comes flying across with an axe. I'm just like, oh shit. I mean, these Dornish women can fight real good. They're gonna mess shit up. But there's only a couple of them for some reason, and they do get a few shots in, but man, they're getting wrecked. And I'm like, oh, Theon's sister is a pretty good fighter. Maybe like this is obviously the present that he promised Daenerys, or Cersei, sorry, was probably the head of his sister or whatever have you. And I guess all the people that were on the boats. Then I'm like, nah, Theon he's reformed. He can fight. You know, he was taught in the North with Robb and Jon and Ned and all that kind of stuff. And he's doing a pretty good job holding his own. His sister's kicking ass. Then all of a sudden, like, she gets overtaken. I guess the axe being held to her throat, and then he's like, come on, Theon, you like cockless bastard. He's like, come on, what you got? And I'm like, Theon is gonna do it. He's gonna redeem his character. We're gonna see him go over 9,000. He is gonna just slay everything in sight. You can see the blood turning, and then all of a sudden he's looking around, and he's like, oh shit, blood, oh, killing, oh my god, this is, oh, reek, I'm out. It jumps off the boat. I was like, what? And the dude's, his uncle's laugh was just like perfect. I was like, oh my god, Reek's back. He screwed his sister over, and his sister had just told the Dornish queen that he'll protect me if anybody lays a finger on me and all this kind of stuff. And like, man, she got burned so hard there. Oh my god, I could feel for her. Now I'm gonna rate this episode. I don't like giving things perfect 10. You know, Deadpool was one of the thing, and even Logan. There were the two exceptions that I've given perfect 10s. I'm gonna do it on this episode, even though like there was a few things that probably could have been better, you know, and maybe it's closer just a low 9 or a high 9, but damn, that last 15 minutes, the episode had me on my toes. My blood pressure was getting high. I was getting sweaty. I was getting worried. And now I'm thinking, you know, everything was going so smooth, and I was like, yeah, things can progress real quick, and all of a sudden, everything that Tyrion planned has just been blown out of the water, because Cersei didn't even send that guy there. He went on his own accord, you know, like, so this leaves a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to rate this episode a perfect 10. It hurts me to do it, I know. But it was just so crazy. It just had me in my seat, on my toes. I want to ask all you guys a few questions now. Now that she's been captured, he's going to bring her back. Is Cersei going to marry the uncle of the Greyjoys? I can't think of his name at the moment. Is this going to screw up a lot of things? Is Daenerys still going to be able to attack? You know, is that war going to be resolved in this season? How can you see things panned out? Oh, and the other thing, too, I forgot to even mention for some reason, was the ballistas with her black maester, Cersei's black maester, being made to kill dragons. Are we going to see some dragon deaths? How many are going to die? That's the question of the day. All 3? 1, 2, or 3? It's going to suck if a dragon dies. There's only 3 of them. I want to know your guys' thoughts. What did you guys think of the episode? How many dragons may potentially die? Is the uncle of the Greyjoys going to marry Cersei? And is Peter going to screw over the North? That's the other big question. I will see you guys next week. I want to thank you all for watching once again. This is Chaos Reviews signing out. Thank you a lot, Chaos Squad.